Well, good afternoon. Welcome back to my channel. And I really want to thank the special guest today who's actually come across, who's really taken this opportunity on board. There's many people I've sent emails, but they're all been scared. And there's some of those people are in my room as well. I don't want to mention their names. We'll keep that a secret. Hopefully they will get motivated and they will come out as well. But having said that, we've got a lovely person on the other side, someone who's actually joined the school. Someone's got many talents. I mean, sitting very close to her, I've heard and so many things about her. And today will be the day that we can actually explore her life as well. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Miss Naidoo, who's actually joined AIA in the English department. I really want to thank you for coming on board and welcome to AIA. Tell us about yourself. I mean, we'll start with a picture. I've got a photo there. Hopefully that could be a segue to start.
It certainly will be, but thank you so much, Sheikh Farhan, for having me on. It was hit and miss for a while. I didn't think it was going to happen, but here we are. That photograph, as I said to you, it was so hard to get my hands on a photograph, and that was probably one of the few that I did have in my possession after leaving home. That was probably, if memory serves me correct, when I was in year 2. Now, even if I had a choice, I probably would have still chosen this photograph because it holds a lot of memories for me. That may sound a bit strange because I'm standing there all on my lonesome. It was the first time that I started to act in plays at school. So a little bit of a secret is that I'm known as the drama queen. My dad gave me the name drama queen years and years ago, but that was literal me performing in plays. So that was the start of my performances, and I did it all the way through year 12. Humble beginnings, but why this was important to me was in this play, I was the princess. There's no crown there, by the way, as you can see. I was the princess. We probably couldn't afford it. I don't know. And I only had 2 lines in the entire play, but it didn't matter because I got a new maxi dress. I had my makeup done. I had my hair done. So I felt like a queen. And it was from that point that my dad started calling me his princess. And I always had the nickname his princess. It ruffled a lot of feathers at home because I was the middle child. And as rumor would have it, apparently I was the favorite child. I'll take it because I certainly didn't get favorite from my mom. Do you know how the older sibling and the younger sibling get all the attention? So I was grateful to have gotten it from my dad. So that's the history behind that. And it's something that I enjoyed. And when I look back at it, you know, I think of happy times. It's amazing how photographs can bring those happy memories back to you. Strangely enough, I can remember everything that happened on that day, including losing my school dress. And you know how hard it was to come by and for a replacement and ask your parents for more money, right? In those days, you got your 2 school dresses and that's it. You keep it for that year. You pull down the hem and you use it for the next 3 years. So I also went up to a student, this is the embarrassing point, and said to her that she had my school dress and I wanted it back because when I changed for the concert, I couldn't find it. And I made a big hoo-ha about it, only to find that it's probably out there now, but I had it under the maxi dress for all the time of the performance.
Oh, that must be an embarrassment in itself.
I was too little to feel embarrassment. That's okay. So yeah,
Well, look, there's a fascinating thing that you said, because myself being a middle child, I mean, you said you were favorite. I mean, I would contest that middle children being favorite of any parent. I'd say that's not right. I mean, I don't know what you did in order to get those favorite books. So it's always the middle child, because he's the one who is pinpointed for every mistake that's been happening in the house. So any calamity that befalls, he must be responsible for that.
Yeah, perhaps it was because my sister came so many years later. My brother and I are 2 years apart, age difference, and my sister came 10 years later. So I have to say, I enjoyed the spoils of having 9.5 years as the youngest child. And I think my father ran with
There you
that
go.
and viewed me as that. And that's the way it stayed. So it was a pretty special bond. Uh, yeah, so it's a time in my life that I'll always remember. And although people say it's bad having a favorite, because I get asked every single day by my youngest daughter if she's my favorite, and of course I can't answer that because
Yeah, so we all do have favorite children. So, having said that, my first question that I always ask people is that something that you always wanted to learn. I'm not saying that you're not a learned person. You're definitely a really learned person because I've learned so much. As I said, just sitting beside you, knowing that you've also been to a role of a deputy principal. That was only last week I heard that. So I'm not saying that you're not a learned person, but we all want to learn something. What's something that you always wanted to learn?
okay, something that I've always wanted to learn, and it may seem pretty strange to the teachers at the school and perhaps some of the kids who can speak so beautifully in their vernacular. I feel, and there's no excuse for this, I always feel a sense of not being absolutely fulfilled because I don't know an Indian language or my mother tongue. Initially, easy to do so. I blamed it on my parents and I said it was their fault for never teaching me, but I had every opportunity over the years to learn an Indian language. I mean, I've never been to India, but I'm Indian background, South African Indian background. And I can remember being sent to Hindi school to learn Hindi when I was probably about 13, 14. I can't remember exactly what went pear-shaped, but it never came to pass. So I can, understand words, every second word, every third word, and I try to piece it together by images when I watch films. But, as I say to my kid, Shifran, that I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of my heritage. I'm proud of my identity. And I feel like knowing a language just cements who I am in terms of cultural identity. So um, for me, it's still a to do. It's still something on my bucket list. And I think, if I set my mind to it, I've been learning everything else that I've wanted to over the years and being committed to it. And that's one thing I would really, truly like to do just for my
Well,
own sense of gratification. I don't know.
oh no, you know what? You've got a great start. I mean, you're a language teacher, so you definitely know how language works. So I'm sure you can learn the language. And if you and you know what, I'll say this. The Indian music is so popular. I'm sure you definitely listen to some of that music yourself. And regardless of where you come from that region, even if you're a Pakistani or an Indian or a Bangladeshi who don't even speak Hindi, and the Afghans as well, they all listen to that music. That's a very popular, kind of music that people listen to. I'm sure you listen to that as well, and definitely probably could sing some of those songs as well. So there you go. You've got a good start. I'd say you probably do have a good start in order to learn that language. And I'm sure if you gave your mind to that, you probably would be able to learn that in half the time that anyone else would take to learn a language.
That's very reassuring. Maybe our next interview, I'll say, I'm halfway there. How's
You're
that?
halfway there. I'm sure you're halfway already there. You just need to cross the line.
That's true. Something to work towards.
Anything else that you always wanted to learn? I mean, some of the people always talk about. I've heard about your cooking. Like I'm sure you're one of the best when it comes to cooking or anything that's always on your mind that you wanted to learn.
Um, to be honest with you, it's strange that you say that, and I know it's everyone's go-to to talk about cooking. I have, and I'll tell you a little something very quickly. It's amazing how people will take a look at you and no bad intentions. And I had a person say to me, more than one person, you don't look like you can cook. I'm still trying to figure out what that's supposed to mean. But
Stereotypical.
It is stereotypical, definitely. Uh, Cooking for me is huge. I don't have any formal training. There have been times where there's been trial and error. I can remember when I first got married and I made my first roti. My brother and my husband were throwing it around the house and using it like flying saucers because that's how hard it was. They literally did that. I have to say, I actually sort of self-taught, watched my mom and so on, but I like to think I improved in leaps and bounds, but it all depends on what other people say, those who taste my food. So yeah, proof is in the pudding, huh? Literally. But I've always wanted to go to like culinary school and really learn cooking techniques. I've always wanted to do that because I improvise and I do what I think is right. And some days I get surprised and I go, "Oh, this is really good. But what did I do to get there? I can't remember." And I love watching cooking shows like MasterChef and so on and so forth. I am so intrigued by the skill that goes into something that looks so simple. So my husband did buy me once. It was a gift for a seafood cooking course, which was amazing. It was 3-4 hours long, and we did about 4 or 5 courses. And on that day, I thought I could do this. I could spend 6 months to a year learning, all these skills and techniques and so on. And not that this would ever eventuate, I'm saying, because my life is so busy. I should always think about, I'd like to open up a little cozy restaurant somewhere. But I know that is just all in my head, building sandcastles everywhere. And strangely enough, it's always something that I did want to do.
Well, that's great. I mean, look, me and cooking, it's far away. I mean, we can never blend. It's a recipe for disaster. The only thing I always say I'm really good at is boiling eggs. So I can definitely with and making tea, which I yet have to make for Jotika when she'll be listening later. So yeah, I'm making tea. Tea is also one of my fortes. So it's always fascinating. I love these interviews. So I learn so much about people, and I get to know them firsthand, and then people actually get to know you guys. So there's always so many hidden talents in a teacher. I always say teachers are special people. People just think that we're boring. We like to just write on the board and just give instructions. But I tell you what, I've interviewed so many people, and we all have a story, and that's why I do this, so that we all get a chance to tell our story. So, well, moving on from there, what is something that you know well?
I'm going to say, firstly, because it's my passion, um, teaching English. And I'm going to say that because it's a segue for something else right now. I didn't start off my first degree, with wanting to become a teacher. So this you didn't know about me. I did first year law, and I absolutely loved it. And everyone had it in their heads that Samantha can be a lawyer because she's made after them. Maybe it's my big mouth. I don't know.
I think you definitely would have made a good lawyer, a criminal lawyer.
A criminal lawyer. Well, my daughter has taken over from me, and she's a lawyer. So, yeah, sort of enjoying that aspect of my life that I had to forego for, and I'll tell you the reason in a bit. But I don't regret at all being a teacher. I did law for a year. I was asked by my dad, and I think you may have a good idea about Indian kids and their parents. You go with whatever your parents say,
That's
especially 30
correct.
years ago.
That's correct.
And my dad, when there is no scope for lawyers in South Africa, they come a dime a dozen. You need to move into another career. And I went into teaching as a default. But I'll tell you what, not a single regret. It is my passion. In fact, sometimes I get too passionate and I go over the edge on the other side and expect too much of myself and probably, others around me as well. But I love what I do. And, I say it very cautiously because I don't know if it sounds arrogant if I say I think I'm good at what I do. So that's the one thing
You
I
know
feel
what? You just reminded me of our parents, the subcontinent parents. They want you to do something. Thank goodness I was a rebel because they wanted me to become a boring accountant. I am far away from numbers, and God saved me on that day. So here I am interviewing people, something I really love.
Well, maybe there's two rebels sitting here in this interview, huh? Yeah, so that's one thing that, I think I'm good at. And the other thing that I think I'm good at, and I'm also trying to sort of temper this so I don't come out as being very competitive. I sort of make a point. I love my sport. There are certain sport that I played from the time I was a child. I ran competitively. I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. You probably don't see it in me. I ran the 100, 200 meters competitively, 800 and middle distance as well. So I was pretty good at that. So I used to run all the Mother's Day races in my kids' school and feel proud of winning them. So when I was 14, 15, and then 17, I broke the district record in the 200 meters back home.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah,
You
it
have
was,
gone for the Olympics.
I don't think I would have made that with these short legs. Sorry, but I loved it. I loved it. I took it seriously. I worked at it at a time where there wasn't a lot of opportunity, for people of color in South Africa to go and compete on that kind of level. So strangely enough, it was competing against, African children, colored children, Indian children, that kind of thing. Um, I also love my tennis. It's something that I play every Sunday. I played for my school, never had formal instruction in it, watched YouTube videos and everything else that there was to watch to train myself, because coming from my background as well, there wasn't a lot of opportunity and money to pay for formal coaching. So my dad said, if you want to play it, you need to watch. So I watched. My favorite tournament was Wimbledon. From the time, my gosh, I can't even remember, 5, 6 years old, I'd never missed Wimbledon or other tennis tournaments. And I watched them and I watched their service and their motion, and then try to perfect my double-handed, my two-handed backhand, which I think is my weapon, I think.
Now
So
tell me that you can do a proper service.
I can.
You can do that overhead proper service.
Overhead service.
Well, that's good.
I practiced. It didn't come easy though, because I used to play very tentatively and cautiously. And a bit of advice, when you play that way and you're scared to hit the ball, it's either going to go too far out of the service line or you're going to hit it on the net. So what my husband was taught me was unrestrained, don't think about it, give it your all. So that's what I do now, and I play against him. And there are a few occasions where he can't return my serve, which is quite nice actually.
Well, that's good. That's good.
So yeah.
Well, with the racing part that you said, we are looking for a relay partner, because my partner, Mr. Singh, had a cramp in the relay race. So we are looking for a replacement. And I can say that we have found a replacement.
I don't know. Can we edit out this part? I don't know why I even said that. I'm going to have to practice, and that's very scary. The pressure. What if all the kids watching you is my worst nightmare is if I fall whilst running and the kids are all there as an audience. But anyway.
Well,
Yes.
look, that's so amazing. Tell me something surprising about you. Over the line, over this interview, I've had so many surprising facts. I would have never wondered that you were you're a 100-meter or a 200-meter fast runner, but I've never wondered that. Definitely, I would have never wondered that you've played tennis. And you actually were telling me, because you should have got your runners today, because you play a bit of netball as well.
I played netball competitively for quite a while, and then had to make some decisions when I came to Australia, because my bubbas were little. They were almost 4 and 8 then. And I couldn't spare the time of leaving them and going to an extracurricular like that. So maybe that's something I can tell you about myself. You know a little bit about this. If they had to make a horror movie about mothers, I'll be starring in it. I think you know that by now.
Oh my God.
Protagonist or antagonist, I don't know, because I think I am the mother from hell. So I'm not going to say sacrifice. I hate that word. I don't believe you sacrifice when you give out of love, because my daughter taught me that. Don't say you sacrifice things for us, Mom. So I think when people look at me, and what they don't know about me is I've got a 27-year-old and a 23-year-old who are still living with me, and I love every bit of it. My husband wants them to be married and off they go, but I am happy for them to live with me for the rest of their lives. I am an overprotective mother, but there is nothing, and I'm sure lots of mothers can say this, I don't doubt that I wouldn't do for my children. Even if my daughter at 23 asks me for cupcakes at 12 midnight, I will do that for her. That's just me. So I'm
Well, that's more like a lovely fact, not really surprising.
not surprising. What may surprise you, I don't know. People say that I'm crazy and I need to have my head checked. I get it from my mother as well. I have a weird affection for study. I don't just study as a means of, I need to do this for my job and I should get my master's now for my job. I do it because I enjoy it. I love sitting exams. I love submitting assignments. That is very strange, I know. And in 2021, I wanted a degree from Australia because everyone else in my family seemed to have it but me. So I did my 6th degree in 2021. And as old as I am, I got a tongue lashing from my mother that I need to stop and give time to my husband, apparently, which I think I'm a good wife and I do. But I'm sort of not over it yet until the dust settles and until I get the natives all quiet and restful again. I want to do my PhD. It's something that, I've always vied towards ever since I was young. But I also need to sort of be there for my family for the next year or two until they go, okay, it's fine. We can sort of afford you to go off for a few years again and spend your time that way. So that's maybe another not so fun fact about me. And maybe one more thing that people don't know about me, again, is maybe because I wear my high heels. I don't know. I shouldn't say that aloud. I'm meant to be wearing 5-inch heels, aren't I? I can get onto the roof of a house and put up ladders, and I paint. I love the interior decor. I have an eye for that. I think I like what I do. Maybe not everyone else does it, but I can paint my entire house inside. I don't have to paint it outside right now because we have the brick finish. But I love the painting. I paint outside. I do the pergola area, and it's a sense of, I don't know, it's therapeutic for me. I like it. It's my quiet time. So,
Well, thanks for letting me know, because I'm actually building a house. I was looking for a painter and I don't have to go far away. I'll hire you for the paint job.
I'll invoice you. Can you afford me? I'm teasing.
I'm sure the school can, if not me.
We'll talk after the interview.
Well, look, I know another surprising fact about you that maybe people don't know, and I will actually spill that you've been a deputy principal as well in one of your roles. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I certainly have. And, I've spoken to you a lot about my background and so on. And, coming from South Africa as well, I came here in 2004, and it was I'm going to say, there's always duality in experiences. You come here, there's apprehension, you're scared about new beginnings and so on. But the one thing I can say that's good that came out of this was I was at an age where there wasn't a connect between my qualifications and what I did. No, not being arrogant to think that, oh, if you have qualifications, you ought to get a job. But it started to become frustrating where you'd study and study and study, and it's difficult to get a position you want to get because it's either, now I'm going to say this cautiously, I tell you that I put my foot in it every time. okay, I'm going to try to say this nicely. It's either you're not black enough or you're not white enough and you're caught in between. If you don't like that, out it goes, but I don't know a better way of saying it. So we sort of were sandwiched there, right? So when I came to Sydney, I started to work in a school where I worked for 18 and a half years before I came here. There were opportunities like abounding there. And in 2005, I started there. And I think in few years down the line, I became head of department of English first. And it sort of, I saw that through right until I resigned mid-year this year. So for all that time, which must have been about 15, 16 years, I don't know, I've been head of department, but our school structure was that we had campuses all over New South Wales. So I had head sort of 13 campuses, 13 schools in New South Wales for English. And that was 7 to 12. And our positions changed with deputy principal because I was deputy head of campus for a long while until we got the more formal title. So I held that position for maybe about 14, 15 years until it was, changed from deputy head of campus to deputy principal of,
That's a lot of heads to look after. Look, I can speak to you for ages. I know we're coming close to the time. I want to ask you, and I always ask my, the people that I interview that give us an advice, and you coming from a country where you actually grew up in the apartheid, you grew up in a difficult time, and you understand what difficulty is. And we see what the climate of the world is today as a very strange place to live nowadays. But we always get motivation from people. Give us an advice. I mean, you're definitely someone who will have a great advice to give, and definitely that's an advice that we can take. So tell us, give all of us an advice who will be listening later on as well.
Okay, I think just based on my background first and even my experiences thus far in this country, it may sound like such a cliche. I still have an issue with this. I have an issue with tolerance, intolerance. So I'm just going to say to people out there, because I'm very open-minded like this, don't ever look at people and assume you know them. Don't ever look at people and assume certain things. You know, one of my favorite books is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. And it tells you, if you want to understand someone's perspective and truly know their experience, you should be getting into their skin and crawling around in it to show empathy and understanding. And I live by that. So at face value, I never just go, I think I know a person, I want to dig deep in. So that's the one bit of advice that I'd give people. Give people a chance, get to know them. And the second bit of advice I'm going to give you is this. And I can't remember the guru, a friend of mine, I think I told you, sent me these 4 laws of spirituality. And one of them says, everything that happens for a reason. So never, ever regret. We were talking about regrets today. Anything you may have done, because let's face it, you spend a lot of time fixating on that and you can never go back and change that. But yet you can take what you learned and make the road ahead better from it. So I think you always grow from experience, never regret it, because I feel you have no control in certain things that happen. Certain actions, yes, we can control, but don't regret the past. Just use it to make a better future, I think, So.
Well, that's such great, wonderful words. I mean, definitely people that will be listening later on, they will definitely can take some advice from the great words that you had. Now comes the fun part for me, not for the people. I will show you a little riddle, and because you're very new to the school, so I'll be welcoming you. I'm not going to give you 5 seconds. I'll probably give you another 5, and I'll make it 10 seconds.
Okay.
So the next thing that you'll be watching is that riddle, which is on the screen. It may not talk, so I'll read it for you, and then I'll give you the time to answer that question. So I'll play that now. So people buy me to eat, but never eat me what am I? So people buy me to eat, but never eat me.
That's a tough one. I'm overthinking it.
Well, these are the most silliest ones that you can find.
Me
And
too.
when we overthink it, we overcomplicate
And
it.
I am overthinking it right now.
It's okay, you can give me any answer.
Happy to eat, but never eat me.
I can hear Marianne in the background. She wants to help me.
Come on, Marianne, help me.
she wants to help you.
I am so lost. Tell her to scream out. This would probably be the worst attempt by anyone ever.
Well, you've got phone a friend. We've never had phone a friend before, so we're actually going to use
Marianne,
that
I can't
today.
even think. I'm only thinking money, but you've got
We're
money
gonna-
to buy something. Buy me to eat, but never eat me.
What do you think it is, Sam? Do you have an idea, or?
No, in my head, Marianne, I don't know why I'm only thinking big bucks and money. Who's listening to me?
Oh, we were thinking. Yeah. We were thinking that maybe it's something like a plate, or maybe a knife or a fork or a spoon. So something that you eat with, but not necessarily consume.
So can we say cutlery or crockery? Can we go? Can you lock that in?
Yeah, what do you want to lock in?
If I say crockery, it means anything.
Anything, okay, let's just go with that. Okay,
so
let's
bad,
play
sorry.
that. Let's say if you're right. Well, where am I? Yeah, that's it. Well, there you go.
Oh, Marianne, that was, you know what? That friend deserves some money. I think I'll have to come past the stuff from that way.
I say, Guy, you've actually got that right with the help of a friend. This is the first time ever that's been in my show. You've actually got some help. No one sitting at the back has had any help in the past. So that was...
things I do tell you that. Think too deep.
Well, you need to definitely come and thank these people later on. So with that, I really want to thank you for your time today. It was a great interview. It was great knowing you. And it's also great sharing the staff room with you. So I wish you all the best. And this will be coming out today or tomorrow for other people to learn about your life. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I was a little bit tentative about it, but it was great. Thank you.
Well, I think you showed a lot of confidence, even more than me. So that's well done.
Don't know about that, but I love chatting to you, and then we'll have to continue our conversations in the staff room.
All right.
And thanks again to Mr. Cutting and Ms. Novosel.
Thank you. You have a good one.
Thank you. You too, Shay.
Good afternoon. Sophia from 1A, and Amira from 2C to come to the front office for early dismissal. Thank you.
Sorry, I should have been using my headphones.
Well, no, that's okay. Well, even if we use the headphones, I mean, these announcements, we can't escape these announcements.
I know.
They will haunt us in every corner of the school.
Well, that was a reprieve for me from getting away from the favorite child talk. Hopefully no one's out lingering listening to me say that.
Well, no, that's right. I mean, I think it was a cover up because the announcement saved you from announcing your favorite child.
That's right.
Well, no, every parent does have a favorite child. I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm a father of 4 children. I do have a favorite child. I can't announce that on the computer, but I do have one.
And you're going to make this video public, are you?
Well, yeah, I am. It will be public, so I don't want the other children to come after me. So